Okay, hey, this is Mark coming to you from Baker's Green Acres. It's the 8th of July, probably about 9 o'clock, and I'm a happy farmer today because my job today was to bale hay that we had knocked down yesterday. That's farmer talk for cutting. We knocked it down. And so I had, you know, quite a few acres, probably 30 acres to get baled up today. And you can see I've got these nice 1,000-pound bales up out there. And I did it with my relatively new Heston Rounder 5545 baler. It was built in 1960. It still looks pretty good for 1960. That was the same year that I was born. So there you go. There's some information for you. Anyway, baling, part of homesteading for sure. As you may or may not have heard, I have put this farm up for sale, and I believe that my video series will now be homesteading. So this will be number one of homesteading. And it's a subtle difference between homesteading and commercial farming. Commercial farming, you're deriving all of your income from the farm. Homesteading, you have income that's coming from off farm. Maybe you have a part-time job or full-time job. And the farmstead provides you with whatever you decide to grow or produce from your farmstead. So it's kind of a part-time job that can provide you with food or clothing or whatever you can take off the farm, whatever you can produce. On this farm, we produce beef, pork, chicken. To do that commercially, we have to convert all of it to dollars, and that was problematic. And it's partly because industrial agriculture produces food at such a cheap price that people have a hard time paying 2 or 3 times more for organically raised stuff. And I get it. And we battled that for years and years and years, and we finally said, okay, let's shift slightly over to the homesteading model, and so that's what we're doing. Okay, I can't go too long. I made one before and it was 19 minutes and YouTube wouldn't put it up. Good news though, YouTube has remonetized me. Way back, we had a whole bunch of videos up there and a friend said, hey, you should monetize those. And so I did, and I think it worked for about a week. And then they finally just cut me off, demonetized me. We thought, well, it's because I talk about the Constitution, or I'm running for sheriff, or the Attorney General hates me, or whatever. We didn't know what it was. There's a good possibility that it wasn't advertiser friendly because we showed slaughtering of animals. Could be. I don't know. But we're remonetized, right? So now there's going to be commercials on here, and you get like 1/4 cent per video view of it. But that's not why I'm doing it. Why I'm doing it is for the reason that I want to talk about in this video. I think that we buy into this notion that we need a bunch of stuff. Really all we need is food, water, a warm place to stay at night, soft bed, it's just the creature comforts. That's really all you need. If you buy into the trips to Tahiti and the Corvettes and all that stuff, those things seem to kind of own you, I think. And I have found that the simpler you can keep things, the better. So in the homesteading model that I'm talking about, we're going to talk about how to produce food. We're going to talk about how to, maintain and secure a good water source, and then some things about homesteading that will just come up as I'm thinking about it. I have a couple of books that are kind of like favorites of mine. One of them is the Reader's Digest Back to Basics book, and I really like that one. And I've gotten so much information out of that, and that's the direction that I'd like to go, and here's why. Today, I was having a problem with this baler. Big problem with this baler. The stringer wouldn't work. I mean, it would string the bale, but then it wouldn't cut. So every time I had to get off the baler and I'd cut the strings with my knife. Added a lot of work to it. And so I finally swallowed my pride and I contacted a friend of mine. And I mean, he was more than happy to help me. And he has used one of these since he was a little kid. He's a little younger than me now. And he knew exactly what the problem was. And I got in there and I took care of it. And when I baled all these, there's 20 something of them on this field and then there's 20 on that field. Every one of them baled flawlessly and the cutter worked. And I was a very happy person. When I was baling on the top fields, I was jumping off to cut them. When I went in the house that night, I wasn't a happy person. I was kind of stoved up a little bit. So I think it's really important for us to have a network of homesteaders. And I think there are some groups out there. I don't have really time for that. And I probably in the wintertime, maybe I'll check that out. But I think it's a really good idea to share skills about homesteading. Yeah, so how does homesteading fit into cutting hay? Okay, we're going to have to kind of reverse engineer things. What I did before in commercial farming was I would feed as many cattle as I could, get them butchered, and then try to sell the beef, right? And a lot of times you wind up selling beef pretty cheap because it's been in the freezer too long and you take a beating on it. Well, now I will raise beef if somebody wants one, but you're going to have to pay me half of it so I protect myself before I even get the calf. And then I feed it for 2 years and then you pay me the other half. That's how I protect myself. And if you decide you don't want it after that, well, somebody else is going to get, you know, a beef at half the price. Probably, that's never happened. So we're protected. We know what we're up against when we're raising a beef. We know there's a home for it. You'll even have the ear tag number, you know. So then what I'll do, let's say I got to do 10 beef. Well, I might not need all this hay. So I would only store what I needed for the year, and I wouldn't just cut everything that there is. See, so it's a little different. Same thing with chickens. Right now we raise however many we take a notion to raise in a season. And then a lot of times some of them sit in the freezer for months before we can get them sold. We're not going to do that anymore. If somebody wants 50 chickens, we say, yeah, cool, we can do that. We can do that standing on our head. But you got to pay half before we even begin. And that way people are committed to, you know, what they say they want, right? So that's how it's different. And our primary income will not be the farm. I will work off, which I've been kind of wanting to do anyway. I want to go and do some different things as well as this. Yeah, so that's how that will go. Okay, I'm at 8:44, so I'm going to cut it off here. But remember, networking, very, very important. And I would even go as far as to sit down and write your network down. Like this particular friend of mine, he's very good at mechanical things. He can figure just about anything out on the phone. So that's really good, because generally if I have a problem that I can't figure out, it's pretty hard to find somebody that can just roll it out like that, you know. And keep track of those people. Now, in real life, I can provide him with lots of meat because he's not he doesn't do a farm. He's a mechanical guy. So that's a way that we can trade services without involving dollars. And that's always good. Anytime there's a conversion to dollars, it gets kind of sticky. I'm not exactly sure why, but it's better to just try and stay away from that if you can. All right, it's Mark from Baker's Green Acres. Anyone can farm.